Are those things bad for your lungs or?
They're probably better than smoking, but I'm not a medical professional.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's great for you, but it's.
I don't think smoking is good for you.
No.
Just on like a
smoking in
general
general.
level.
Yeah.
We don't want popcorn lung over here.
Nobody does.
Are they rosin pens or what is that?
This is live resin.
Live resin.
With our partner Nimbus.
Get you steamed off your ass right there.
This is Wave Rider. Yeah,
we were at the
one of you guys
casino
could do
with
a
that
blinker off this, I'd be impressed.
What's a blinker? What does that mean?
You hit it until it blinks.
10 seconds.
Oh, I don't know about that. That's on the floor.
Let's see it.
I've never even heard of that.
Hit the blinker.
Use your blinker.
You got to keep up with
Well,
the
you just
kids.
got to hold it on?
Hold the button until it
and
blinks
hit it
and inhale.
Keep your eye on it, and when it blinks, you're done.
All right, watch the coughing.
Oh, he's gonna cough a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Kind of like a dab.
Trevor, hello. Can I try that too, you think, maybe?
Pass it the wrong way,
Go
bro.
there. Look at Hoover over here.
Okay.
Blinker?
What is that? What is that flavor like?
We'll get him
to
back
you?
soon.
What do you get from that?
I don't know. I'm a little fucked up right now.
I knew that was gonna be the answer.
Citrusy.
Yeah.
Is it citrusy?
Very fruity.
Yeah.
That's got a great taste.
So,
I got a
fuck's a
little
blinker?
vanilla in there.
Who invented that?
Like
What?
citrus
I don't know where
vanilla.
I saw it.
Right?
Or like a citrus
Found out
creme
about
brulee.
it, but yeah.
Just
I
a little
was-
sweeter.
That's
I was-
delicious.
Yeah.
People asked me to hit it. I was like, you got to do a blinker.
I'm not hitting that too hard, man. I know what'll
No,
happen.
no. Do your thing.
I got
I
these
knew you would step
sugar
up.
cubes.
I knew you'd step up to the plate.
Wave
though.
Rider's like a nice creme
I've never
brulee.
heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm drunk. I smoked backwards for 20 years, cigarettes. Like, I'm not the guy you want that's going to do a blinker. My lungs are on the last mile of their fucking life here.
You recovered already. You're good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. But neon. Out the mud. Before I get it out the mud, I stay on top of my fitness and hit the shower, clean it up, and then get back to the business. I don't care about who did it, I ain't worried who didn't. I head directly to the back, so I'll be there in a minute. I got expensive taste. The rollie got a different face for surely. I be in them places, they won't let you pass the gate. Posted up, sipping $1,000 scotches with the rock in it.
But if I don't do this, Lee's going to kill me. Episode 29, Native Sun. We're here with Mike, Matt, Cody,
And me.
Rob.
Yes.
Rob Lindquist back on set.
Yes, sir. I'm back in the game here. So yeah, anyway, we're here with Native Sun. They're very interesting guys. I like what they're doing. I like your weed. It's great.
Thank you.
And you did a tour of the facility, right?
Yeah, we toured the facility, me, Lee,
When are you
Matt.
when are you coming by?
As soon as I can. I would love to come by.
All right, we'll
I'm
see you
so
on Thursday.
I'm fascinated with plants. You know what I
See you
mean?
on Thursday. Yeah.
The whole
Thursday?
What's that?
You want to go Thursday, Rob?
What, next week?
Yeah.
Cranberry's never been there either. You could check it out.
Thursday?
Yeah,
This
they'd
week?
love to check it
We'll
out.
field trip.
I'd love to check out the cooling system, what you guys are doing with the chillers. You know?
Wait till you see our mechanical room, man. You'll fucking
dope.
love it.
Oh,
It's
I
amazing.
love it.
Yeah, Rob
Yeah.
loves heating
Yeah.
and cooling.
Oh, yeah. I do too. I honestly, it's a huge part of being a cannabis operator is like,
The energy.
you have to know what the HVAC does, how it works, what parts are in it, the functions. Like, these guys are professional. I'm not a professional cultivator. These guys are professional cultivators, and they're extremely knowledgeable on all this stuff. That gives you a huge edge.
Now they're like HVAC technicians now.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to
Yeah.
learn the systems.
It's
you
an
got
art,
to
man.
know.
It's an art.
Yeah.
When did you first start get into weed?
I started. Probably smoked my first joint at 15, maybe. And,
Nice.
Early
like-
on.
I didn't think I was 11.
sweet, then eased into it, and then in high school I was like a full blown pothead.
So did you
And
when you were in
then-
high school? Did you sell weed?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So okay, cool.
Delivered pizza and delivered weed. That was my thing for.
Oh, so you sold people?
So,
You delivered pizzas
I
and brought them a
delivered
bag.
pizzas in the same town. Yeah. Shout out to the pizza place that
What? So you delivered high school jobs?
yeah, in the same town I grew up in. I was I was meet me here, meet me there, fucking delivering pizzas and
Get a pepperoni pie.
just drive up right next to each other.
So that
Make
was the
it
code too, probably.
No,
lingo.
I'm saying
You're
I'm
like, hey, I
making
need a
regular.
pizza.
I'm making regular deliveries.
Oh, I know, but it was probably
Oh, you can
easy.
do
Your
that
boys
too, yeah,
probably
yeah.
call you. You're like, yeah, give me 2 pizzas.
Yeah, that's it. But
Yeah, 2 pizzas and 8 are your best.
the point was, I was always on the road in the town, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I started selling weed early, growing weed, experimenting with it early. Didn't know really what I was doing, and then started taking it serious. I met a friend.
What, when
that-
you met somebody, started growing it on your own?
Yeah. I had a friend that grew weed, and he showed me his grow, and he needed help, and I was like fascinated by it, you know. Then he ended up, shout out to Gio, he ended up opening up a grow store, and I managed it for a couple of years with him, and then I got the start at Patriot Care is where I first started in Lowell,
Where'd you grow up?
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford.
Yeah.
Skipjacks.
Skitchak?
Oh no, what's the name of that place in Chelmsford? Great place to eat. Oh, I don't know. I'm retarded. It's
a crazy
The
one.
99.
Definitely wasn't the
There's
99.
a Outback, there's a Chili's.
Sorry. Yeah, that's good.
That is
That's
funny.
good. What, the 99?
I had this,
No,
Isn't that
Rob
their
actually-
slogan? A great place to eat? Am I crazy? I don't know.
Oh my God.
great place for a special.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
what was
you,
I saying? Yeah, so
Chelmsford.
I grew up in Chelmsford.
Where was the grocery store?
I was
Chelmsford?
in Methuen. Yeah, it's in Methuen. It still is in Methuen. So I did that for a couple of years. I learned all about nutrients and lights, and sold shit to people, and learned all about the products and stuff as I was, growing in basements and bedrooms and
Oh, so you were setting it up.
rented rooms, and doing it at
You went
friends'
out on your
houses.
own.
Yeah, and then me and Gio did our own thing. We did a big 20 lighter, and then I got the Patriot Care job. I got an interview, and the guy quit on my first day, and I took the grow over, and then I got the pleasure to hire people like Cody and a bunch of other great people.
What-
And we all work together now again at Native Sun.
What year did you start working at Patriot?
Summer of 2015.
2015. Oh, so that was medical.
I remember
Was that
I got-
medical?
Yeah, it was a medical start.
Yeah, it was one
I
of the
remember I
first
got my
3
first medical
spots.
card. I think it was like 2011, 2012, where I could actually put it on my grow rooms and not worry about being fucked with. You know what I mean? That felt pretty good.
I know,
Well,
not looking out the window.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you stayed under the limit, 12 plants or whatever they try.
Right. Under the radar.
I was always,
He's 12 plants,
you
but
were
you
always
have like
under the limit.
35.
Yeah.
always abide by that,
Yeah.
that rule. But no, my first grow got robbed, dude. I invested $6,000 into it. I was all excited about it. 8 months of work, and someone plucked it.
I was just going to ask,
In the
how
mid-
smooth
in
did the
middle-
operation
in the
go?
middle of the night,
They
And,
took your buds?
Yeah, they cut all the tops.
Oh, man, I would have been
They
pissed.
pushed the air conditioner, scaled the house, pushed the air conditioner in, and cut all the tops into trash bags, and then destroyed it, ruined it all.
How much did they get, you
Wasn't
think?
even done yet.
Oh, so they took it before it was even
It was like a
full.
week away from me, a week and a half away from being done. So
Did you
Did they
ever
take
find
the
out who it
equipment
was?
too?
no, I had to get the equipment back. I was accused of doing it at first, and then I had to get the equipment. It was a fucked up situation. That was my first grow that I really invested money and time into.
And you lost.
And it was at someone else's house, because I couldn't do it where I was at, and I took the loss, and I went right back at it, and made another one, and
Oh, so the deal
No,
that
it
you
always
broke in
started
with the person that house it was, he thought you did it?
he thought I did it at first. Then they found out who really did it.
And then you went and got your equipment back?
Yeah,
Good for you. I hope they had a problem.
it was a battle.
Good.
They weren't there when I got the equipment back. Put it that way.
I'm sure you ran into them at some point and had a little conversation with them.
No, it's okay.
That's here nor there.
I'm just over it with people at
Here
that
nor
point.
there.
I
Those
move-
records have been sealed.
I move on with my life.
Conscious.
So your
That's
main
like an
job
Indian
is
or something.
growing.
Yeah, I run the garden side of things. So
So you guys basically have a room with mothers in it, and then you do a lot of cloning, obviously, and you're in charge of the whole growing process. That's your whole job.
yeah, I oversee the whole thing. We have supervisors and managers and that report to me, in specific departments in the grow, and then cult techs under them.
So when did you first get into this?
Mike hired me in 2016. 2016.
2016.
Well,
yeah.
no, let's go back a little further than that. When did you first start smoking weed?
Oh, me, I was late. So my weed, like, I definitely came from a drinking family, and I drank when I was younger. That was like what was, super acceptable. And then I got into psychedelics.
What, Schroombergs?
Just in general, like as a concept. So I went to school
As
for
a concept. Wait.
That's
I want to hear about this concept, okay?
He's not naming any names
Yeah.
of drugs. He's
You don't get into
Concepts.
psychedelics as a concept.
Lee.
Concept.
No, like as like
you
a
partake.
perspective.
Open that door.
Yes, certainly, but just as like a
Okay.
perspective on like how humans use drugs, right?
You just
So,
acted like you were on the sideline studying this thing.
But like, so my degree's in anthropology, so it's like study of humans, right?
Okay.
But from that aspect, like, got into psychedelics, used them, right? Said fuck alcohol.
Yeah.
And
So you
then
you're saying you stopped drinking?
I very rarely, on like occasion.
It
Honestly.
bumped you back on
How
track.
old when you found these psychedelics? I was just wondering.
Like early 20s, late teens.
What kind of psychedelics are we
college,
talking?
right?
We're
Yeah.
talking about
You were in college?
mushrooms, mescaline,
LSA was my first. which
LSD.
LSA is like half LSD essentially. It's
Isn't it like
lysergic
Molly?
acid, amide. It's from a seed essentially, but regardless,
Yeah.
a bunch of different naturally occurring psychedelics and then
Nice.
some other stuff.
So they're all natural.
Well, Rob studied it too.
yeah.
Psychedelics, that is.
So getting into that got me into weed, right? Gave up alcohol, decided to just like smoke weed instead of alcohol. Worked a lot better for me physiologically. I have IBS, so weed helps treat that irritable bowel syndrome quite a bit.
What is it called?
Irritable bowel syndrome.
Irritable bowel?
Yeah.
Oh, angry
IBS.
bowel, the worst.
Yeah. So like that aspect and just like life function on cannabis instead of alcohol got me into it. But then graduated college, went on a road trip around the country with my wife, camping in a bunch of different states, national parks, moved to Mass to get into the industry. She was from Mass. And then lived out in Western Mass, worked on a maple and like Christmas tree farm. And then Mike hired me.
Oh,
in
you were making
2016.
maple syrup?
Yeah.
How was that? With
was cool.
psychedelics, little pancakes,
Yeah,
little syrup.
Walking
butter.
around, wandering in the woods, So good times.
So where are you originally from?
I was born in Mass, but I grew up in Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey.
Yeah. And then went to high school and college in Connecticut.
And you studied anthropology?
Technically, that's my degree, yeah.
You got a master's?
No, just a bachelor's.
That's more than what I got.
But it
went
was
to
in
UConn too.
Oh, he seems pretty smart.
ethnopharmacology, which is like traditional plant medicine, drug use of like living cultures.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you still into the psychedelics?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a big rave
Always
going
will
on
do.
tomorrow that he's thinking about.
Yeah. One of many.
So how do you like your job?
It's great. Get to grow weed, enjoy it quite a bit, work with really great people. That's like the biggest thing, right? Is that we have a great culture. And who doesn't like to grow weed? So
Well, I mean, everybody likes. It's funny that everybody that's around weed now legally, at some point in their life, they sold it illegally. It seems.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a cultural thing.
we all did. So we learned.
And you know what? Remember, I don't know, like they had those movies in the '60s, Reefer Madness and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys ever seen them. It's
Yeah.
like a spoof.
Yeah.
Where it would make you a gateway drug. I don't think weed is a gateway drug.
No, I
I
did
think
it
it's
backwards.
I
Think
think it's
alcohol.
alcohol is the worst one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More people die from alcohol than all the other drugs combined.
But
Alcohol
I think that
causes billions of dollars of healthcare costs in this country every single month.
alcohol.
Alcohol
Billions?
does. Far more than the taxes collected on alcohol.
Well, I'm just thinking booze is more of a gateway drug than cannabis. You've always, I don't know, as a kid, like you hang out at the bar, then it's a few drinks, then
Yeah.
after a few months, then maybe a
Well,
year.
you trying to
then
get
next
some
thing you
pudding.
know,
Starting to
somebody.
get into other shit.
Yeah, next thing you know, somebody busts out a bag of
Exactly.
coke or something, and then
Exactly.
you're sniffing coke.
Violent crimes.
You're
are-
not you're not smoking weed.
Out of
Then,
nowhere.
And
You
then
know?
maybe some methamphetamines. You never know.
Sure.
so I think booze is the first thing. Plus, you break into your parents' liquor cabinet. That's the first thing you get. Wouldn't that be more the gateway?
Absolutely.
Drugs should be ranked by harm to like physical harm to society, harm to like addiction potential and like relationships. Like if you look at drug scale on that, like cannabis, psychedelics, other stuff is like, very, very healthful way to live compared to alcohol and opioids and benzos.
Oh, yeah.
and more.
I've never known anyone to smoke a joint and then go straight to a crack pipe after.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I think the crack pipe's
let's be
first,
serious.
and then you want to mellow out a little bit. With bone,
Gotta do it in the right order, yeah.
you got to come down. You know what I mean? When you're up there.
Yeah.
Rob's not speaking from experience or nothing.
No.
Oh, landing gear.
No, I've never actually smoked crack. That's my one drug I've never tried.
Landing gear.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Learn something new every day.
No, so when you first came to the company,
good.
things were a little messed up, and you straightened it out.
Loud.
It was going well, but the retail stores were up and running. They were doing great. They were operating.
What year was that?
2022.
Like in the height of the COVID stuff.
Yeah, it was
the tail end of the
definitely it was the tail end. We worked during COVID. We worked in medical facilities, so we never stopped working.
The whole time.
Medical cannabis was essential.
Yeah.
So we just I never stayed home. I never worked from home. Yeah. It was kind of a unique thing in Massachusetts.
You guys actually work for a living.
We got massive quantities out of it very quickly, which you can't do in wholesale. If you're a new brand in wholesale, you got to sell, you got to get into make the connections, get with these people, the retail companies, hope you get paid. We had the instantaneous outlet of these great stores that we could get the product out, and then they go tell their friends you wouldn't believe this weed I got. You got to come try this, and it really helps a brand grow to be able to have your, built-in distribution of that size to launch it at.
How big's the cultivation?
Oh, wow.
We're
Square
at
footage?
12,000 feet of canopy right now. The whole building's 72.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys just got some rooms online, right?
We just brought another one on.
12,000 flower.
Yeah.
12,000
So
square
we
foot.
started with 10.
canopy?
Flower.
We just added 2. And then we have another 8 that we're going to add over the next year and a half, assuming we can sell all of that.
Is it up?
In an industry with a lot of people shrinking their cultivations, you guys are actually expanding your cultivations. Do you think that was getting your foot out there first early with the retails and then?
Absolutely.
Kind of.
Yeah, the plan was, when we started, we have 14 flower rooms. So, we looked at what that would produce, looked at what our stores were able to sell, and then we balanced that out. So we knew when we started, we had the stores to sell the product. It's the number one thing with a grow. Once you start the grow, it's just a train that people keep getting off at every stop, right? You got harvests come down, you start them months in advance, so you can't pull the reins back. So you get consistent production.
So once you're in motion, the wheels are in motion,
So
you're
if
going.
if you're not able to get rid of that stuff at the same rate that it's coming out, it just starts building up,
You get a log jam.
right? You get a flooded bathtub. The water's got to drain faster than it fills.
I don't think a lot of these guys out there are following your same philosophy with that.
Think
I think
all
they're
right?
just flooding the market.
Sure, well, they're just trying to move it.
First I thought it was in front of my face.
Yeah.
It's weird to
Well,
have
they're-
a mic in front of your face.
Well, they're right on the bubble,
Yeah.
too. A lot of these
It's
people.
mad
Oh
weird.
yeah.
So-
Well, and what's happening is it's getting harder and harder and harder to move it, which
I
makes
bet.
them more
No, I
desperate
bet
and more
it's huge.
desperate to move it. So then the price comes down.
And there goes and then as these places close, it might normalize a little bit.
I hope so. There's a lot of like we were saying, there's a lot of information that we just don't know. We don't know if we're still producing more than is being sold. We don't know if we're producing less than is being sold. So we have no way of knowing where the price is going to go. And everyone's doing their own thing, pretty uncoordinated. So there's really chaos.
Like you said,
Yeah.
I think you said Washington.
Well, Washington publishes their total actual production. I think most agricultural industries have, standards for companies to report this stuff so that, it's good information for everyone to have. If we all had more information about what the future of pricing of cannabis looked like, every single cannabis cultivator could make better decisions about their business and the direction they want to take it in.
So where do you guys
yeah.
see this going this whole weed industry from where we are now? Like with the pricing and the availability and the quality and the testing and the whole thing, because it just seems that you go to these places and they advertise $60 ounces, and it's complete junk, and it's hurting the guys that are legit.
Yeah,
It really is.
we like to think we're legit, and we're doing it the right way.
Well, that's how we came across you guys. We bought the Orange Photonics machine, and we bought a bunch of you guys' eighths. And a lot of people can't even get their THC right. They're lying to the consumers based on that, because I see, you talk to everybody who runs a retail place, they say probably 60-70% of the consumers are buying by highest THC. They just want they think the most bang for their buck.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's natural. I used to sell beer, and people would ask me for the most bitter beer
Really?
because they had bitterness numbers. People focus, we've been trained to focus on this one thing, and ultimately, like, the product is a commodity. It's grown, it's sold in large quantities in any state where it's legal, and the pricing is reflective of the supply, reflective of the demand, the costs that go into it. And in all reality, we're 8 years out from prohibition. So this industry is only 8 years old here. We're operating off primarily the same set of rules, or very similar rules from the inception. And, the industry's facing challenges. So where are we going from here? It's going to be a tough road for anybody to successfully grow cannabis in the state. But the fact is, there's $1 billion a year of it being sold, and there's going to be people who are thriving in that environment and people who are not thriving in that environment, and it'll probably be that way forever. It's a competitive business. There's a lot of money flowing through the system, and people want to take their stab at it.
but if you know what you're doing, obviously, a lot of people I talk to is just say, hey, stay in your lane, worry about yourself, and nothing else really matters, as long as you put out a good product. So we bought like 4 or 5 of you guys' eighths. They all tested within the THC. They were like most of them were right on point that we posted on our website. So we feel that if you're a brand and you're at least not doing any of this lab shopping, and you're putting the real numbers on the side of your label for your consumers, you're in like the 20 percentile, like, whereas 80% of the other people are lying to their consumers and not doing it. So that's why we invited you guys on the show. And plus, the product was pretty good. Rob was happy with it. It's always fresh. Smell good. I like that blueberry muffin. That blueberry muffin bangs. That's real
Thank you.
tasty.
I think I have
Who
the
picked
notes.
that out? Where did that come from?
There's a clone we got in the beginning.
Just lucky clone.
Luck of the draw. Yeah, we actually got a
Couple of lucky clones.
good friggin' half a dozen at least.
Yeah.
Bangers,
Is that how you guys find all your strains? You just go out and look around and...
No, we brought
No.
clones in initially to get
Initially?
the place jump off the operation, but we've been
Where'd you get the clones
We've been
from?
popping seeds ever since.
The blueberry muffin cut. Is it something you guys know?
Different
or-
breeders and
Yeah.
clone places.
Tight lips. We're not trying to
It
give
was
that up. I
essentially
see.
it was essentially two sources, but
Yeah,
two different sources.
A
And,
lot of tight lip
yeah.
operation around
some of it
here.
was
Yeah, you gotta be.
problematic.
That's a very
I'm like-
it's a very interesting part of the industry where the new genetics are kind of like the state's regulations are kind of like, just let us know you're bringing them in.
Right.
Right? They don't want to know where they're coming from or, what's going on.
They don't want to know nothing.
They have to be clones that can't be more than 8 inches, but otherwise, there's no THC on it or anything. In any other state, they call it hemp.
Same with seeds too. You just have Metric open a window and you bring the stuff into Metric and
How long does it take?
seeds, clones.
If you wanted to bring a pack of seeds into the facility, how long is it? A big process?
Just
You
send an
email them and
Just a
a week,
request.
a week later they'll reply sometimes. And
Because I've talked to some people and they say like
They
it's
say
like tough to bring stuff in,
no,
but that's
they
not
give
the
you a
case.
date and a time. It's a 48-hour period or
24-hour window.
24-hour window.
Yeah.
You have to bring them in.
They're bringing
Always
in,
bring-
that's it.
6 p.m. this day to 6 p.m. tomorrow. And you can bring as many seeds and clothes as you want to the facility.
Oh, so you just let them know in advance and they're like, yeah, hey, between these 2 days, bring whatever you want,
Yeah.
document
You
it,
log them
log it
all
into
in metric. You got them all lined
There's
up.
a function that they enable in the license itself. to like allow for it.
Do you have to pay for each thing that you bring in?
No.
Is that it? Is there a cost
You
associated
have to
with
buy
it?
the little metric tags for them.
So like if you brought a pack of seeds in, one metric tag
gets a
goes for
metric
this.
tag. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only like 40
tag.
cents or something, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they add up.
Yeah, but you go
we
through
used to
tens of thousands
It
of
adds
them.
up.
Like, yeah. I mean, every box that we ship out has its own 40-cent tag. So for every case of product we make, 40 cents cost, you know, there's 25 units in there. It's a couple pennies a unit. These things add up over time.
How do you feel about the metric system? There's been some recent news coming about, and we talked about it earlier. Like, it's easy to manipulate it. Like, is this fee for these metric tags like warranted? Like, is it overburdensome for the industry?
I don't
Like,
really know what the cost, you know, what their business model is. They sell software to the government.
Yeah,
We just use it. So I'm not Metric's customer. I'm not
Yep.
their client.
yeah.
I'm a user of the Massachusetts.
But does
metric
it? Does the
system.
cost add? Do they hinder business?
Well, certainly it's an additional cost. Obviously, like, you know, the regulations in the state are the things that enable us to have this business and follow our passions and do what we love and grow weed and sell it to people here. So in that sense, like, you know, because of the way the law played out, this is what we have to do to make all of this work. So let's do it. You know, so it's an extra cost, it's extra work, it's extra compliance. There's risks involved. You know, that's what it took to get them comfortable with letting us do this kind of stuff.
Sell weed.
Now, you know, is the system great as an operator? Not particularly.
Okay.
You know, do the costs add up? You know, we have to integrate software with it. Those costs are very expensive. They're going
Software?
up. Yeah, so, you know, Metric is a tracking software. It's not a business software. So if we want to run business software
In
and
parallel.
use that to manipulate our data, and you know, you have to get it to communicate with Metric, tell it what to do, make the changes, and then all of that has to line up and get audited and be correct. You're talking complex computer programming to get this stuff done.
Expensive, huh?
Yeah. So you have these other layers on top of it that a lot of people use. We program all of our own stuff on top of Metric internally. So we build just the tools we need and don't pay for software that doesn't work or things that are beyond the
Useless.
scope of what we need.
Useless is good.
Yeah.
Do the
That's pretty
metric
good.
fees add up to like, and the integration of, you know, the software to your wherever your accounting software, pretty much your tracking software?
I mean, you can pay
Is
as
it
much
like-
money as you want for software nowadays. You know, you could have
Is it
custom
a lot of the
everything
operating
built
cost,
and
or is it a minimal piece of the?
it's expensive. I mean, you know, we pay for point of sale software, email software, metric software, credit card software, data collection, data reporting,
Must add up.
testing software, all kinds of stuff. The costs are high. You know, and they look at cannabis companies and, you know, it's like there's very few operators in the space. You know, if you're selling normal products, there's 1,000 different online shopping carts you can use. You sell cannabis, there's 3.
Really?
So, you know, they all know they can jack the prices up, and it's not like you have a great other option.
So in every little software, you guys have to pay them, and it just comes off the top.
Sure, everything's
And that's the
subscription
expense. It's just
model.
build and build
Yeah.
and build.
Yep.
So ultimately, what's bought at right now? Around $4.50, 60 cents, something around that, like that. Is that-
Retail price
The
of a gram?
average retail price
yeah.
about $4.50. Yeah.
Okay. So where do you see that price going? And what's one of the biggest things that would improve this industry right now?
So I think like the testing situation should be simplified and in a more auditable way in terms of what the labs are doing. So, you know, right now we have, Trevor mentioned, like, you know, there's inconsistent, you guys have your own machine,
Yep, the orange
and
photonics.
there's an inconsistent result with a lot of the stuff you see on the market.
Right.
Well, we as cultivators, we have these state licensed labs out there that they use different methods, different calculations, different machinery different, accreditations, and we're not PhD trained microbiologists. We're weed growers.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go in there and be like, this looks legit. I mean, they're doing calculus on molecules of vaporized
Cultures.
solvents and stuff. It's crazy. So, we have to rely. We have to use these guys, and we have to rely on them. So if we could standardize the method that is being used to something that is agreeably scientifically valid, and then we could audit these labs to make sure that they're doing the calculations in the same manner for the same people, every sample gets treated the same way, you could eliminate all of these problems, all the testing, all the variants, all the consumer safety issues. You could actually, as a cultivator, understand what you're dealing with, because we just don't know. We don't know, we have cursory knowledge of how that stuff's done, but
I understand that, but how can I buy your product and what your label says on the side of your package, and I run it through my machine, and it's very accurate, very similar. So what are you guys doing different than as somebody else? Because it all goes back to integrity, because you guys are the ones actually picking the samples, right, and sending it to the lab?
Sure. Yeah, if you use proper sample selection, representative sampling, you handle them, everyone, you're supposed to have a protocol for this in your SOPs for the state.
So I when I first bought the machine, I was testing all sorts of stuff. We were testing it, and it just kept on coming back way off, like 40% off, and it was always lower than what it said on the package. What the
40% off?
Yeah, like 40%, 30% off, like way
Crazy.
off. So
Yeah.
I didn't
So
believe
it'd be
the
like,
machine.
They'd
So
have like a
Yeah, I
30
wouldn't
and you
either.
get
It's
a
like, this
20.
thing's broken.
What's
all
that?
fucked up.
So they'd have like their COA would say like 30 and yours would say like 22.
Yeah, or even less,
14.
14. Stuff that was
Yeah.
42 was
Wow.
21.
Yeah.
Stuff that was 32 was like 18.
Sure.
Like it was bad, a lot of it. So I didn't believe the machine at first. So I'm like, fuck this machine. I'm like, and then we got across like our first brand that tested out on point. And then at the same time, I took 3 strains of like one of my buddies who grows weed. I ground up 5 grams of each strain. I fucking homogenized them. I divided half of them up. I took half of them. I tested them on the machine. I brought them down to MCI Labs, just like dropped them off like a regular customer. It was like, one of them was off 0.01. One was off 0.1. So like if it was 22.1, what I got back from him was 22.09 on one of them, like off 0.01.
That's
like
nothing.
on the percentage. Then the next one was off 0.1. And then one of them was off 1.3. You know what I mean? But 3 samples, who knows that other one? Maybe I fucked up. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but you know what I mean? Maybe there was a glitch in the machine.
It was
But still,
acceptable margin.
1.3.
Yeah, there's a margin that's
It's
like-
from like
1.3
24
is not
to
even-
like 20,
So
2.7. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, so it's not that far, even though the one that was off is not that far off. So I'm like, shit, man. I'm like, this thing's on point.
Yeah.
So then that's why we decided with the show, we're just going to buy a bunch of brands. And if a lot of the stuff's in the cultivator's hands, like picking the sample, that's like right there, like so much can go wrong with that. If if the testing lab's really there to protect the consumer, why would you let the cultivator pick the sample? Now the people that test it out, like you guys, that we just tested the shit at random, it makes me begin to think that you guys are credible, that you guys have integrity, that you're not like mishandling it. Because they just want to blame it on the labs, but it's not the lab's fault. The lab can only guarantee the sample they get
Sure.
given to them. They can't guarantee that sample came from that batch.
Yeah.
So if you're as a lab protecting the consumer, if you're like the last line of defense for the consumer, how are you letting this person hold, like your size self? And that's why we have a few brands like on the show, because most of them don't pass that like simple THC test.
Yeah.
So I think if you guys pass that, you guys are legit. And then
Well,
you've
you came to-
obviously smoked your
You came
weed
to
and
the
stuff.
facility too. You came to the store.
It's very clean.
We brought you through every nook and cranny, bro.
Yeah, the Southie. I like the retail joint up in Southie. That
Thank
shit
you.
was dope. We
Yeah,
met
it's
Matt.
cool.
Matt was up there. called him a car salesman or something, right? He's like, yeah, I can tell you're a salesman. Like, remember that? You were like, oh yeah, I like that too. You're like, yeah, you're a salesman. I can tell. Yeah, me too. I do that too. Yeah.
So all that weed you tested was these guys' weed, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So did you have the grow in place before the retail stores? The all in one shot.
So we
The Hudson store was first.
the Hudson store was first.
Yeah.
And that was in the last month of 2020. And then North Attleboro opened in the beginning of, or maybe 6 months later in 2021. And then I came to the company in 2022.
2022.
Yep. So the two stores have been open for, a year and a half and almost 2 years at that point.
Well, that gives you guys an advantage over other people too, because instead of growing your weed and selling to a wholesale and making less, you have the retail store so you can cover the whole end.
Sure.
And supply what you're doing. You're not full out growing. You're growing what you're selling instead of having it sit.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing to do.
We can't grow enough weed. Like, it never sits.
It's what?
We can't grow enough weed. It
No?
never sits, no. We're opening more rooms up. We can't grow enough of it.
Through your retail locations, do you guys sell about 60% of your own product?
In those categories, the ones that we make, yes. You
Yeah.
count, edibles are
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
like one of the biggest categories of sales. So if you count edibles, flower products are about 50-60% total. And then
Of what you grow, you sell.
of the total, so out of that 60%, about 60% of it is ours. Our facility can't support enough strain mix to like fully.
Okay.
We want to offer. I don't want to have like just 8 strains on the menu at the stores. So, it's just the way that our grow rooms are pretty big. We have less cycles running per month.
Yep.
So if we had smaller cycles, more per month, we could rotate strains a lot faster.
Yep.
So we work with other growers and partners in the state to kind of, some of their other flower options we sell, and then I would send on the edibles and distillate vape carts and stuff that we don't make. We have non-Native Sun selection in there.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a lifeblood. That's a key to a healthy operation is
Yep.
having your own retail outlets.
Yeah.
And so were you at Patriot Care too, Matt?
Funny story. When I got into the cannabis industry, I went on Craigslist and I typed in marijuana jobs, and it literally in Craigslist,
Did it come up?
2 came up. One of them was Patriot Care. That was the first one I applied to. I went and interviewed there, and then they didn't hire me. The other one was Theory Wellness. I went and interviewed there like 2 days later, and they hired me. But I was actually applying at the time to be Mike's boss at Patriot Care, but they never ended up hiring me. So I worked at Theory, started in 2017. We had a small, 20 or 13,000 square foot grow in Bridgewater, and some really great stores. And the company, we were the 6th medical license and the 6th recreational license in the state. So we were open and operating back in the craziest days of recreational sales. And I always tell people, like, getting that experience where back in those days you were selling $7,000 to $10,000 pounds at retail,
Right.
and had a hour-long line out the door every day. So we were able to learn the industrial side of cannabis production, facility design, efficiency, business systems, organization around the stuff that these guys do to build a successful company back when you could make all the mistakes that you needed to learn that stuff without going bankrupt.
Because the bug was so high.
Well,
at that
it
time.
actually cost us less to produce back then, and we got 5 times the price.
Right.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
A lot of margin forever there.
A lot of margin for error.
Yeah.
So when I came to Native Sun, I got to hire the whole team and bring in the leadership that the people I've known and worked with and have been in this industry and went through that same experience. We seek those people out. We create a great culture here, that's a huge advantage for us is like, having done this for a long time here, seeing all the ways that people have screwed it up, being able to take that knowledge and build something new that, works within the market conditions and isn't based on the forecast from 5 years ago.
That's interesting. Another thing I wanted to ask too is, and I always ask this to everybody, a lot of the old strains from the old school, I just don't see it. Like, remember, they had like Colombian Gold.
Hard to grow, hard to find.
Hard to grow, hard to find, not like good yielding.
It's just bred out
Commercially,
of the gene.
Bred out.
Yeah, there's just
Spread
like,
out, hard to find,
so
doesn't
this-
cooperate in commercial facilities.
Yeah, this whole issue with the numbers chasing in the labs and everything for THC has like led to the destruction of the gene pool. So like everybody's hybridized to the same like family tree of genetics at this point. And that's because they're commercially viable, decent yielding, like easy to grow, somewhat
Disease
mold
resistant.
resistant. And high TAC, high THC in particular. So if you just continually focus and inbreed like genetics in that, like that, that's where we're at right now.
That gene pool will
You guys are
shrink
constantly
quick.
looking for new stuff too.
We try, yeah. We hunt all the time, and we look for unique varieties or at least like unique modern hybrid offerings that have like the flavor and effect profiles of like older genetics or something like that we don't offer. Like try and build our whole menu out to be
Trying to cover every category of
as much as we
cannabis.
can.
And you have
Much as we
how
can.
many different kinds of bud flower?
I
Cultivars.
don't know. We should have known this before. Do you guys know offhand?
We counted
70
70-ish
something?
the other day.
With pheno hunts
With
still
the
going
pheno
on,
hunts.
It's a
too.
lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot going
We got
on
a huge
over there.
ROM room. Like,
Yeah.
it's not really.
I got to check this place out now.
Yeah.
So the whole building is 72,000 square feet. It had 14 grow rooms in it. We only used 5 of them to start. So we scaled back the grow. Like this whole thing had been built when we got to Native Sun. So we had to scale back what we were doing because, like I was saying, if you're producing the
You
cannabis,
want to flood the market.
right? You can't just turn the thing on and all of a sudden be doing $3 million a month in wholesale. That's impossible.
It doesn't happen.
I mean, maybe not impossible. It's too
What
expensive.
you got over there, patches?
Oh, to have like
Too
just
difficult.
open the thing wide open and
need
then
to
not
this?
sell it.
Too
Yeah,
much
let's
risk,
see what you got
exactly.
going on
Because
here.
if you don't sell it, it's still
Options.
producing more and more and more
It doesn't
every
matter.
time.
Because the money that it costs to grow the sweet is astronomical. So you're only growing a certain amount of what you're producing and what you're selling.
Patches?
Yeah.
You'll get it.
So
eventually.
the trick is to match
you a
up
t-shirt.
what you're selling to what
Yeah.
you're producing.
Get your
can wear
t-shirt.
it
then
and
you
look
can-
So
at
you don't
Right
have
here.
like a
Right
lot
here.
left over. Basically, you
'Cause
sell
once
out.
it starts, it's like a bathtub. You're either filling it or you're draining it.
Right.
There's no like even. So if you're filling it, eventually it's going to overflow, and you have to pay cash to grow that weed. And then if it's just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, that's more money you got to come up with.
So you
to
keep your eye right on what is going out and what's going in.
absolutely.
Well, you
That
have
sounds really smart,
You
actually.
have to. Like,
That's a lot of people made the mistake. They got whatever they have for canopy. They just grow the whole thing out and then they kill themselves with the price.
yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that the quantity of what people grow, do you think that's gonna in the next couple of years going to come out so we have the actual statistics?
Well, I really hope so. I think everyone in this state is flying blind when it comes to the real economic indicators that can tell us what is going on with the industry. We see things like total revenue, total price per gram. You can calculate how many grams that is. That was of what was sold. How many grams were produced? What if we produced 2 times as many grams as were sold last year?
We don't know.
We don't know. If we knew that, we would know the price is going to go down this year. If we produce less than half of what we sold, we know the price is going to go up this year. But we don't have the industry hasn't collaborated yet on establishing the infrastructure to find this data, collect this data, and then share it with people. So that, if we're in an oversupplied market, we need to get that information out to people so they don't put $40 million into a
There
grow
you go.
facility in
If
this
you guys
state.
were all on the same page, the price would go up if everybody cooperated.
That's
but,
collusion, Rob.
no, I'm
well,
not saying
certainly
that.
no, we don't want to price fix anything.
too.
But we do want to know, is the industry in a sustainable place in the market right now? Because I mean, you read the articles, you look at the news, you see all these things going on. If we're under extreme financial pressure as the cultivators in the state, we're the backbone of the industry. What are the retailers going to do if all the cultivators go out of business? What are they going to do if there's a shortage of cannabis because too many people shut down? So if we knew the information, if we worked together, the cultivators in the state work together to produce these things and share this data, we could make the decisions, the policy changes, the legislative changes that are going to actually help us. Whereas right now we're all trying to figure out how to do it, but no one knows what the underlying data of the market is.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Well, they show you the amount of plants on the metric. Like if you look up on the public data, you can see how many more plants. Maybe you can kind of correlate that with,
That line keeps going up forever. So
it's more and more.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I don't know. I just think it's the natural order of things. It's a new industry, the legal side of it with all the tax and people are figuring it out.
Yep.
And if you put it like under a microscope and like just did like a strip and you had like all the same car dealerships selling the same type of car, like they were all selling BMW. Say there was 12 dealerships. There'd only be 2 left at the end of it.
Right.
There'd be the one that sold it the cheapest and the one that serviced it the best, probably. That would be the only thing that separated them from the difference.
Sure.
So there's probably a lot of these places out there that are selling the same thing. A lot of them are just lying. It's backed up price because they're trying to satisfy, loans, investors, high rent. So they can't afford to stop the grow.
Sure.
And they just keep the log jam and it's just trash product on the market.
Yeah.
So it's probably just going to need to correct itself with people continue to go out of business.
Sure.
But if you have a product, and I think that's what's cool. Like you guys have all started from like the groundwork in this industry, and like did you two meet before you got to Native Sun? Didn't you hire Mike?
So yeah,
And
when
you
I was
worked-
at
He took
hired
over for me when I
at
left
Patriot,
Patriot Care.
right?
I hired him at Patriot Care. He took over for me when I left, and then I got hired at Theory, and I didn't even know about Matt. We met on the first day I showed up.
Okay.
He didn't know about me. I didn't know about him.
But that's where you guys met at Theory.
Yeah, and then we worked there for years.
And that was like 2019,
That was
2020?
COVID, like pretty much
2020.
right after COVID, like
2020.
2020 to 2022,
Yeah.
23. I worked there, 3.5 years?
Yeah, I left at the beginning of 22, so I think it was like 2 years.
And then you went to Native Sun in 2022?
Yeah, I did a little consulting for a little bit, and then found Native Sun.
And then you brought Mikey.
Someone else brought me. He didn't even know about me. I didn't even know about him.
His dad helped build the grow facility. He's a crane operator, so he brought the cranes to put our HVAC down. And he told one of the guys that one of the guys that was running the company about Mike before I even worked there.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Father got you
It
in.
was ironic, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but you guys didn't know each other at Theory?
No, we worked at
we
Theory.
did. We were
but I
very
didn't know
close
he
at
was
Theory.
doing this thing at Native
Yeah.
Sun. And my dad did a crane job there.
And he got you in. That's funny.
Yeah. He got hired, and
Okay,
it
that's
was
what I
just
thought.
like we met, as
But you
as
didn't get in there
coworkers.
necessarily because he was at Native Sun. You got in there because your old man was dropping the fucking rooftops.
That's how I found out that Matt was there, yeah.
Okay. And then you brought
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything. I was unemployed.
you already left Patriot
It
Care at
was
that
sweet.
point?
Bounce.
Yeah, I was chilling.
The psychedelics.
I was blowing glass.
Yeah, you
I
blows glass.
started a glass
He
company.
breeds and
How'd
grows
that
weed.
work out?
It's going. I
You
still,
still do it on the side?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You make
Yeah.
bowls and bombs
Bowls
and
and
stuff.
pipes
Did
and
you make
pendants.
that?
And
You
I
got
did
any with you?
this little pipe right here. A little
Dude, he
necklace
made me
pipe.
the
he
necklace
made me
pipe.
a mushroom, a clear mushroom that glows in the dark with 12 seeds in it.
Yeah,
Nice.
cannabis seeds. Yeah.
Dope.
Anyways, so
That's
I was
cool.
I was just hanging out, and
Proud of
then I heard about this. So
Takes a
started-
while to learn
started
how
at
to
the
deal
end
with
of
that
22.
glass. There's a lot to it. We met a couple
Yeah.
guys down in Florida that did it. It's amazing what they do. They're getting thousands of dollars for bongs. I mean, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, people are amazing. I'm good. I'm okay, I guess, at this point. I wouldn't even say good.
You're good, dude.
People are amazing, you know. Like,
Fucking cloud in here.
Yeah, we met that guy. Jerome Baker. That guy who makes them bongs.
Oh yeah.
Fascinating guy.
Jerome Harris. We
Yeah.
met him down at Turp Basel. He was cool.
Yeah.
We interviewed him. I think you talked to him. You and Ricky did. The guy who got caught up in the Cheech and Chong bust for making the bongs way back in the
Yeah,
day.
George Bush.
Oh yeah,
That was like Donald Rumsfeld, right?
that's pretty unfair.
I remember when Cheech and Chong got arrested, and,
Yeah.
and he was the guy who was making the glass, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
He's like out in Hawaii now,
Yeah.
chilling.
Yeah, like
Nice
the,
guy.
like the squiggly bong design, right? Like it was real.
Yeah, it's like kind of
Yeah,
like an
design.
old school, like basic.
Yeah,
I
the
think
old
like
school.
Yeah, he's been in it for like 20 years or something like that.
Yeah,
longer. I think he did time for that case.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was in like 2002 or 3.
A while ago.
Yeah,
But it's the same law still to this day. That's what's crazy.
yeah.
You could still be arrested for the same thing, but they don't enforce it.
Enforcement is regulation.
So getting back to enforcement, there's no people that come around like the Board of Health and inspect your place every year.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, they
The
can
Board of
show
Health, is it
whatever
the
they
Board of
want.
Health or is it the state?
Well, the Board of Health, we don't make edibles, so the Board of Health regulations don't necessarily apply to us. We have to follow certain codes in the Board of Health regulations, but they're not really actively coming to our facility. If they showed up, they're more than welcome to look around. We operate, to all the regulations that we're required to.
But they don't tentatively get involved in cannabis. Right?
Mostly it's the CCC or fire police. They come
Alarm
with security
system.
infection,
Yeah.
Lights,
alarm
emergency.
systems. Yep. Yeah, but the CCC, they can come whenever they want, take a look at whatever they want. They have full access to the facility. They do their audits. They check cameras, look at your paperwork, and, they come around.
Basically, get their fee every year and check it out. Do you guys have a giant generator in case you lose power?
We do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Must be gigantic.
Yeah, it's,
Well, we're up on
it's-
like a hill in Fitchburg too, so it gets pretty crazy up there.
Do you
with the
lose your
snow.
power a lot?
We lost power a couple
Few times.
times.
a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
But
horrible.
it's
run the
all
whole
automatic
facility?
transfer.
It keeps things going.
It does
Yeah.
all the essential
For a
rooms.
couple days, yeah.
Anywhere there's product storage or plant grown, like it takes care of all that. So,
And what about on water there? Do you using town water? Do you use reverse osmosis? What process do you use with the water?
yeah, we use RO water for it.
RO?
Yeah, reverse osmosis. So we
Must have a huge system.
huge
Yeah.
system. Yeah,
Yeah.
20,000 gallons.
You'd
of
love the
fresh water
fertigation
storage.
room.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It's sick.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. Real cool.
This shit's bomb.
And the water comes right from down the hill too, so it comes right to us. Like
Yeah, the water treatment plant's pretty close, so we have pretty good fresh
The
town
water pretty good?
it's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
as it's gonna be, and then with the system we have, it's
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
clean as it can be.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's a great system.
Oh, that's awesome. So everything you got, pretty much all the rooms pretty much automated. You set them up and then they water themselves and you just make adjustments as you go along.
Everything except for mom and clone is drip irrigated. So mom, we hand water off like hoses on a pressure demand from batch tanks in the fertigation room that have like pre-mixed feed in them. That's
Yeah, I got to get up there.
Tested.
This sounds like
Yeah.
you guys really are on point.
We'll be there for 4 hours.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
going Thursday, Rob?
Yeah. I would like to, what's the date? I want to get the boat in the first here.
May 1st.
Oh, yeah, that's the date my boat goes in. But yeah, I'd love
Just
to check
take
out.
it down the river, and then we're right by the water
I can
treatment
pull right
plant.
up,
You
huh?
can just get right in there.
No, I'm definitely impressed with you guys. I've been smoking weed since I was 11 years old, and I never thought in my life it would ever be legal, and you could go to a store and get it, and I'd never have this conversation with
Yeah, like
anybody.
like I was saying, when I was growing all those years and selling all that weed, my parents knew, and they were like, "You're gonna go to jail."
Did you ever get arrested for it?
No, I never had it. I never did.
No close calls?
Oh, of course I had close calls,
Everybody does.
dude. Somehow, I escaped every time.
Well, did you see how they're doing with the prisoners? I don't know if you guys have heard of, shout out to Randy Lanier, Freedom Grow. They're trying to get nonviolent prisoners released from jail. Some of these guys going to jail for 20, like Randy was in jail for 24 years.
27.
27?
Yeah, something
Oh, I
like
thought it
that.
was 24.
Yeah.
But it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, a
now
lot of-
that it's legal and there's still the guys are
A
still
lot
in
of
jail.
guys are getting out in Cali, but yeah, there's still a lot in there too. Still a lot of them in there.
So I went down to DC recently. So like Randy was down there. There was a bunch of guys having a rally, just doing like a little speaker panel with a bunch of guys who got pardoned by Trump. So there was Craig Cecil, Anthony DeJean, and
A few more.
Kodak Black.
Yeah.
who? No, the last three that Trump pardoned. Pharrell. I forget his full name. But them guys were there. They got pardoned by Trump, and these guys had life sentences. So then they were just like putting on a little panel, and some of these guys, they get picked up by like these nonprofit organizations that say they're for prison reform, and they try to attach their likeness, to like cannabis brands. And one of these guys got thrown out of the club because he was starting to talk about like descheduling it, like completely descheduling on the federal level. And through the nonprofit who gets most of their money from the MSO, they told him to stop talking like that, and he wouldn't. So they let him like go from the organization. This is a guy who got like pardoned. So they were just like using his likeness to take a bunch of money from him. So it's like these big MSOs, they don't want it to go like federally legal. It seems like they have a stranglehold, like it's in their favor for maybe the race to the bottom to gain market control. But if you do a good product like you guys do, none of that stuff really matters. Really. Just do you, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I came from my career before cannabis was craft beer. We brewed, sold plenty of
Micros.
all craft stuff. I worked at a brewery, then for a craft beer distributor. My company was part of the Miller Coors distributors in Massachusetts. So, we've got this big warehouse. We send trucks out every day. We sell beer at hundreds of liquor stores. And they sold, 10,000 times more Coors Light a day than we did in a month.
Damn.
Right? And there was enough inside of that smaller pool to have some really successful businesses, some really, like great products, high quality products.
On the micro guys you're talking about?
Yeah, on the craft side of the business. So, there's going to be cannabis companies that figure out how to grow the absolute cheapest product on the market. So if this thing scales all the way up and gets, the economics of producing it, when the world's scientists have a multi-billion-dollar opportunity to figure these things out. And you look at the hemp market, they're already growing it at unbelievable scale and
Oh yeah.
selling it on, it's the same
Hundreds of
product we
acres.
produce, and they're selling it on the internet. They're making products out of it. They're,
Yeah, the guy Corey that grows at Harbor House, he was saying he was in like the hemp market, and these guys had like 500, 1,000 acres of hemp. He's like, they look at me like I'm cute, with his 20,000 square feet.
Yeah. Yep.
These guys are
different
managing thousands of acres of hemp.
Yep.
Making way more than soybeans and corn and whatever.
Sure.
Do you bring a lot of your genetics in through the facility?
We've brought some in, yeah.
Because this is pretty good here, this Datura.
Thank you.
There's a serious resin ring around this thing.
It's one of the parents of a couple of things we grow at the facility. So
Just imagine if it
in a
went
jar,
federally
so
legal
trimmed up in December.
and you guys could ship this
Well,
all
that's
over the
pretty good.
world.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
wild.
And then all your grow rooms would be
I just didn't
100%
know if it was
fired up.
looking fresh.
Is that the ultimate
No.
goal?
Well,
that's
that's
the goal anyways,
that's
yeah.
the craft business model, right? Like, we're not going to be the biggest weed company in the world. We're not going to be the biggest weed company.
You
want to
be the best.
States. We're not going to be. We might be a decent sized Massachusetts weed company. Yeah, if we could sell it online, if I could ship it to all 50 states.
UPS would be awesome.
My available customer base went from
Amazing.
10, 12 million people to 120 million. That'd be awesome.
It would be.
Yeah. But everybody else would be in the exact same situation. And then how much money do I have to spend on online ads and
It's a whole nother ball
Instagram
game.
and legal compliance, selling in all 50 states and federal excise tax and state tax. So,
That's where it's going, though, isn't it?
you know, part of me, it's like a brew pub. We can just grow it and sell. We grow enough to sell whatever people buy from our stores, and you know, long term, we just keep it insular and super high quality has got to be the thing.
So does that bug you guys out with the industry, like people closing all around you guys, or does it?
Scary,
in our
man.
city, there has been too. Yeah.
I think you guys are a lot more solid than a lot of these growers with your operation, what you're doing.
Yeah, we
know,
try.
We try. We're experienced. You know, been doing it for 10 years now in the industry, in the legal industry. A lot of us. You know.
Well, only the strong survive. I mean, it's like any business. I mean, you know, you had all these people that investment guys went in, threw all these millions of dollars in. They got some guy in there thinks he can do it, and then boom, he just destroys them.
Yeah.
You know, because they weren't giving out loans on this,
Sure.
right? It had to be investment groups.
Yeah.
What was the biggest hurdle from like growing, you know, black market, small grows to getting into a legal grow? Like, what was the biggest hurdle, the biggest transition?
For me, I just like I said, the guy that hired me quit on my first day. When I walked in my first day, I found out he didn't
He
work
quit
there
that
anymore.
day,
Yeah, and I was the only other person in the company. There was 5 of us, and I was the only one that knew how to.
so you
do it.
stepped right up into it.
Stepped right up into it, and then just started hiring people, and just hit the ground running. And I just took what I was doing.
Seriously,
Like, well, not seriously, but like on the small scale, and like 8 lighter in this basement,
Right.
20 lighter in this place, 4 lighter in that place. And it just whatever I was doing, I just scaled it up, you know. And
Same thing.
Never done it before, but just.
well,
scaled
obviously it
up,
worked out pretty good.
and it went smooth, yeah.
It was smooth. There was no mishaps.
Oh no, I mean.
Oh, there was
we
tons
learned-
of mishaps.
Dude,
yeah, that's what I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying.
What's going on?
Mishap.
Yeah, it's like you
Dude,
just came
No.
in and shit was right.
I'm just saying that part went smooth where he just disappeared, and I was like, "Give me the reins, like I got
Right.
this." And then I found a bunch of great people.
I mean, it doesn't
to
really
help
get
me.
worse than that. You show up on the first day and the guy quits. They're
Dude,
supposed to be showing
They
you
were
what to
panicking.
do.
I was salivating. You know. I was
Yeah, you
like,
got an opportunity.
Perfect.
I'm in.
No shit.
I'm in. You
That's
know?
the difference
So
between winners and
yeah,
losers,
it
I
was,
guess.
What was your biggest disaster growing?
I don't know. We've had roof leaks. We've had viruses.
You've had it all, huh?
What about
mean,
the place in?
Aphids.
I know you guys are all
I've-
polished up now.
I've
What
fixed
about
a
the
bunch of
warehouse
grows.
with the sink
The
on the
warehouse.
second floor?
Oh yeah, I had a grow in Lawrence, and a friend. You gotta make me say this.
What do we
have
got
to
going
admit
on?
names.
Dude,
so-
say the simple version.
It was 3 floors. We grew on the top floor. The bathroom was on the first floor. So
Complete trap
But I had a
spot.
connector for 2 hoses to water the plants, and
You were
if you
peeing.
didn't, my friend, and left the plastic
Open.
connector open. No, closed, but the faucet was open. So overnight it burst and overflowed and went down all 3
top floor?
floors. All 3
Oh,
from the 3rd floor
Jesus.
all the way down to a woman's clothing store.
Destroyed.
No, we caught it in time, and I went up and shut it off. But like, she came into work, and it was just water pouring, and I got a call. Get to Lawrence ASAP, please.
Did that cost you guys a bunch of money?
No, it didn't. They were
got
about,
lucky.
They were about to call the fire department, and they didn't know what was going on. They thought pipes were leaking, and I showed up and ran upstairs and was like,
The guy left the water on.
shut it off. Yeah,
Fucking burnout.
Smoking too much of his product.
yeah. My boy Eric, I love him to death. I forget.
You know, it
Eric
happens.
almost fucked this whole operation up.
He almost fucked it up. But
Well, I mean, look at the
We
place
forgive
out there.
him.
You know, got a whole room with, you know, say 70, 80 lights, and somebody does something stupid and the whole thing molds and they got to throw it in the trash. That's a lot of money.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it, you know,
Yeah.
it probably happens every day.
I'm gonna twist up this kosher. This smells really good.
Kosher's fire. It's the real deal. Kosher.
And what's you guys' website?
NativeSunCannabis.com.
And there's 3 locations.
Yep.
3 locations. So we have Hudson, Massachusetts, North Attleboro, Massachusetts, then South Boston.
Oh, in Southie.
Yeah.
Are all the places really busy?
Yeah. We've been seeing, more customers and lots of smiling faces, and I tell people we have 2 products. There's the quality of the flower we grow, and the quality of the hospitality at our stores. So we really put a lot into that side of our business as well. So not only can you get, you know, some good weed at a good price, you get an enjoyable experience with it.
Okay, and another question I always like to ask the guys that have the stores. Let's say they call them bud tenders.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody comes in and they don't know anything, how long does it take to get somebody trained and, you know, with the weed? Because a lot of times the bud tenders usually smoke it anyway.
Sure.
But do you have what's the process of that?
So we have like a structured training plan for the retail teams. So they have an opportunity to train from like the very entry level to the cannabis industry all the way up through supervisor, floor supervisor for the store.
So promote from within.
Yeah, so we let people, you know, we give them the access to the training. We give them the time to shadow, learn on the job. It's all organized into a system. So, you know, people can move through it as fast as they want. Obviously, you know, the faster you move through it, the more valuable you are to the company. So,
how's your employee retainage rate?
Pretty good. Pretty good, yeah.
Because
I mean,
Cultivation, we have very little turnover.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cultivator is usually hot, you know, solid.
And we brought a lot of people in that we knew anyways, so
Yeah.
we knew every, you know.
Must be a pretty
Cautious.
interesting Christmas party over there with you guys all steamed up.
Steamed up.
Sounds like you guys are having great days over there, growing and laughing.
We do, man.
You know, 70 different strains. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
It's tough work too, you know. It's a lot of fun, but we work really hard.
oh, there's no
and-
question you guys work. What is the
Yeah.
average? Is it basically every 4 to 6 days you guys are breaking something down? Is it that
Like harvesting
much?
a room, you mean?
Yes.
Or-
Like I'm saying, you got 70 different kinds of weed.
yeah.
Every week something's coming down. Every other
every what,
few
10
days.
days?
Yeah.
10 days-ish?
Yeah, every 10 days or so, give or take. We don't run like a super regimented schedule. We'd rather like a lot for the plants to finish and like come to their true
There's no
potential.
rush in it.
No,
Yeah,
we have 6
so-
dry rooms, so we can,
There's like
we're
you
able
know,
to
there's a strategic plan.
take plants down when we want.
Yeah.
How
But
do you determine curing time from the different plant to different plant? Well, how do you guys come up with that? You know, when you cure the weed?
I think it's just experience of growing it over and over
No, I'm just
again.
saying, well, how do you determine how long you're going to, because I see curing dates different days. How do you come up with the philosophy? How long I'm going to cure this weed for this long? For what? How do you know?
you start at like a certain like average or like a minimum basis. you
What's
know?
the minimum?
It really depends. You know, at least a couple weeks. Yeah,
Average?
Yeah, and then from there, it depends on the variety and how fast, like Matt was saying earlier, like the enzymes and like nitrogen like changes. So every day we're in the cure rooms monitoring the temp and humidity. It's all graphed on sensors, and then we burp the bags
Every day?
every day up to a certain point.
Have you
and
seen the
then
new
at
bags?
time.
The guy, has certain holes in it already.
Yeah.
And have you guys used those at all?
Not necessarily. We have a pretty good program that like we've trusted historically. We think it's pretty good. Weed speaks for itself, I feel like, on that. And like it's a little bit more labor intensive, but it allows us like a one-on-one
Hands-on.
Yeah, get your hands on
Yeah.
and you look at the
Yeah.
bud, you
Yeah.
smell it every day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
take
That's
notes, you
the-
find problems, you
Yeah.
find great bud. It's just, you know.
You guys got a well-oiled
Good timing.
machine because a lot of
Definitely.
the product that I went to buy was probably like 3 months after test date, 2 months after test date. What do you guys try to like, throttle back or throttle forward to like actually be on the market on the shelf after test date? Like 6 months? Because I didn't see much, after 6
mean-
months,
It's a very complicated formula. We
juggling.
have 70 strains. Each strain could have up to 12 products. So we have, whatever that is, 840 different possible things
Scenarios.
to keep track of. And, we're dealing with one of the challenges in the business is when Cody starts a new batch of plants, that product isn't going to be ready for 5 to 6 months after that. So your feedback loop from like, oh, this thing's selling really good right now, like this new product's selling really good, unless you 6 months ago predicted that it was going to sell good and made more of it,
You
you're
just
now out
don't
of it.
know, right?
So the feedback loop's so long that it's like very hard to accurately, say, okay, this is what's going to sell in the next six months from now. Every month the price of cannabis drops 10%. So how can you know what is going to happen?
Speculation.
Right. So, we built the system to be more reactive to like giving the plants the time they need, the space they need, the processing times that they need. And then we set the stores up and our wholesale up to take what these guys produce and then get it out into the market and sell it. And,
Sounds like a great strategy. Give out what you have, keep it all fresh.
yeah. Yep.
Trying to figure out what separates you guys from the rest, trying to keep it fresh. Like,
Yeah.
that's a good.
Well,
Yeah,
most people don't have 70 strains.
We started small and we're growing it,
Yeah.
at our,
like that.
at a smart
Yeah,
pace.
if you produce a huge batch of one thing, right, you're not going to sell all of that in a short amount of time. That's going to take. So if you want to have a lot of different stuff, you're producing huge batches. You end up with way more inventory.
And you
have
lose
to pay
money.
for. You got to come up with the money for that stuff in advance. So we keep it spread out, small, efficient, constantly moving, getting out there.
So they sell out sometimes of certain strains that people love them.
All the time.
Yeah.
That's a good thing,
All the
actually,
time.
because people want it. And they probably call, hey, do you have this? You have this? And
Yeah.
they keep calling.
That's what I say. It's like some, people ask us, they're like, oh, you had the strain and I loved it. When are you going to have more? And it's like,
Can't tell you.
I didn't meet you. If I had met you 6 months ago, I could have grown more to be ready next week. But
You just never know.
the timeline is so hard to deal with. So, we collect feedback from customers. We do surveys. We have, lots of open lines of communication and monitor all that feedback so we can, try to steer things into the direction that people want. But it's,
You got to pay attention today what people want.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think they want good, clean weed at a pretty fair price.
Well, it seems like for years they
I
tried
like
to get
it.
the smell out of weed. Now everybody wants a skunk. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skunk's a hard one to find.
Yeah.
We try and fill everything we can for flavor profiles and effects, as much as we can find in monitor offerings. So there's something for everybody. So even though it might not be the highest testing thing, we try and grow a little bit, like Matt was saying, often, so that way people can access different varieties that they're not used to instead of same flavor profile, same effects, variety over
So
variety.
you're keeping it fresh.
We try and keep
Yeah, we try to have the hype strains, the old school strains.
What I wouldn't give for a nice bone of Colombian gold back in the 80s, man. Because it seemed like weed years ago used to get you
He's
high
got the
a lot longer.
Acapulco.
What's that?
He's got the
I've got an
Acapulco.
Acapulco Gold.
Oh,
It's
real
crazy.
Acapulco gold?
It's a back cross, yeah.
It's,
but
it's
yeah.
Oh, we
pretty
gotta
close
get
to,
over there.
Pretty close to the real thing.
Man, those are the days. You get steamed, go fishing.
It's steamed. I love that. I'm going to use that.
Steamed, that's old school word. We got steamed. No, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
and-
like
Yeah,
the
you
kosher.
got-
The kosher kush on point.
You guys made a great video for us at our facility and our store, too. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Trevor,
Came
any
out
other-
good.
Awesome.
Happy with it.
We did a Reddit AMA and I sent it to the guy and he posted it on the Reddit.
A word.
I hope you got some he had the link right on there. So
Oh,
I
yeah?
hope you guys got some subscribers from that.
Oh, that's cool.
We had like
Thank you.
100 people comment on that thing. People are really interested about this. Growing cannabis, the cannabis business. It's super cool.
I was hoping we'd get one.
It could
hitter
be
at least.
super awesome. We're
I
going
don't
through
know,
some hard
yeah.
times, but people want to know. We want to be transparent about what we're doing. We let you guys into the grow and show all the stuff, all the processes, all the equipment, all the things. It's not afraid of sharing. I think that's good for the industry.
That's why you guys are successful. The passion, the drive, the work ethic. That's what makes it happen. And a good business plan always helps too.
Sure. And I gotta really credit these two guys because the weed that they grow, I try not to interfere with them.
Let them do their thing.
The stuff is just,
Yeah, it's on point.
I really think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very proud to smoke this stuff.
Yeah.
Trevor, anything to add with
It's
this?
one of the brands that stands out in Mass. Hell yeah.
And we're nothing without our team either, you know.
Yeah, how
We have
many
a great team.
employees are at Native Sun?
With
96.
15 on cultivation,
96 employees?
Yeah, for the whole cultivation, everything, all the
Retail.
stores.
production, retail.
Yep.
We have an office in Waltham.
That's a good-sized company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really is the team though. The team does it.
Grew fast. Too.
Oh yeah.
2 years. I mean,
Well,
cultivation's only been what? 2?
Divided we fall, united we stand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just any successful business needs a bunch of people that are dedicated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a good size for cultivation to be in the marketplace right now. Like a lot of these places with 50,000, I thought they're going to have 80,000, 100,000 square foot grows, you know.
And way over their heads.
That's not going to really work in Massachusetts, you know.
It's gonna be tough.
Awesome. Well,
It's gonna be tough.
thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for
like I
having
said,
us. Yeah.
Native Sun, they rock.
Yeah, Native Sun. Where do they get you? Did you already do that?
NativeSun.com.
NativeSun.com.
NativeSunCannabis.com.
Oh,
Yep.
NativeSunCannabis.com. Excuse me.
There you go,
And
Ron.
I think,
Anyway, I recommend everybody going to Native Sun and buying some weed all day.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
That's it.
Thanks,
Awesome,
fellas.
guys.
Episode 29.
29.
Thank
29.
you. Native Sun in the books.
Awesome. So
That's
we'll have a
pretty
nice
good.
group picture. Put that up. Beep, beep, beep. There we go.
Yeah, it was 2
Yada,
hours.
Sweet.
I don't know. Maybe for what?
What's Michael Anthony's?
Mark Anthony's and
Anthony's.
Onset. They make really good pizza.
Oh.
I mean, their pizza's really kick ass.
Ooh.
It's like, Dave,
We're not going to Encore now. Are these microphones off? Can you turn that camera off, dude? What the hell?
right?
Yeah, we don't do long.
Anymore.
Awesome.
Any less.
Retired.
What's Encore? I've never heard of that.
Officially retired.
Awesome. Oh, here we go.
Wake up in the morning, got a bag on my schedule. Niggas talking, bitches talking, they is not on my level. Check the time, wrist rolling, rose gold on the bezel. Grab my keys and get my cell and hit the door with a shovel. It's time to get it out the mud, 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 out the mud. It's time to get it.